Hello, BookTube. All right, we're back for the third and final mail tub of the mail that accumulated in these white U.S. Postal Service tubs. 3 of them accumulated while Frida and I were vacationing and being treated like pampered royalty up in Vermont. so we have all these to go through. So let's see what this first one is. This one is fairly packed. Let's see what we got here. And those of you who may be tuning into this video without having watched the previous 2, there's also a drama that's unfolding. Not the usual kind of drama where I call out people for things they didn't do. It's not YouTube drama. It's our boring little booktube drama. And the drama is that of all these books, it's about probably 30, 40 books, something like that. Of all these books, these are all new releases. These are all books that publishers sent to me. And in addition to showing them to you, I'm also forming a kind of TBR. I'm separating the books that I want to read immediately. Like today, this afternoon, and tonight. And that, realistically, won't be more than 3 normal-sized books. But we have 4 on the pile so far. So the pile so far is The Rule of 5. This is a nonfiction account of one U.S. Supreme Court case. We have Thin Places, a series of very intriguing-sounding essays. The Voyage of Mercy, about the U.S.'s first international humanitarian aid intervention to get food to famine-stricken Ireland. And A Murderous Relation, which is a murder mystery set in 1888 in Whitechapel that involves Jack the Ripper and Prince Albert Victor, Queen Victoria's grandson. So there are 4 on this pile so far. I can't read all 4, so we're going to have to do some winnowing at the end of this video. This is the third and the final mail haul video. We're going to have to do some winnowing on that pile, and maybe jockey books that are going to want to get on it from this tub. What I want to do at the end is pick 3. So that's going to be brutal. So what have we got here? All right, this comes out on March the 3rd, like every other book in the world. This is K.B. Wager's A Pale Light in the Black. This is a Neo-G novel, science fiction. It's just a straightforward tech science fiction novel. Fantastic. With tons of blurbs. Good Lord, will you look at all these blurbs? Library Journal gave it a starred review. Publishers Weekly loved it. Booklist loved it. Kirkus loved it. Good Lord. Max Gladstone? Okay, we do have a description. Oh, good. All right, this comes with lots of advanced praise. The first installment in an epic space opera series comprised of a diverse crew of characters. Wagers introduced... Okay, Wagers is just one person. She's not comprised of a diverse cast of characters. But I know what you mean. I just wish people would stop making that mistake and just read your prose out loud before you hit send. That will fix 99% of all writing mistakes. You can fix if you read your prose out loud. Wagers introduces readers to a world in which Earth's military has expanded beyond the atmosphere, and its near-Earth orbital guard, that is the Neo-G of the title. That Neo-G refers to Near-Earth Orbital Guard, is its peacekeeper above the clouds. To keep skills sharp and vigilance level high, the Guard participates in an annual boarding games, a competition pitting military branches and their service members against each other to see just who is best in events like tactical problems in solving piloting, fencing, and martial arts, and of course boarding tactics. For the past year, Neo-G's close loss in the annual boarding games has haunted interceptor team Zuma's ghost. With this year's competition looming, they're looking forward to some payback until an unexpected personnel change leaves them reeling. Their best swordsman has been transferred, and a new lieutenant has been assigned in his place. Maxine Carmichael is trying to carve a place in a world of her own, away from the pressure and influence of her powerful family. The last thing she wants is to cause trouble at her command on Jupiter Station. With her new team in turmoil, Max must overcome her self-doubt and win their trust if she's going to succeed. Failing is not an option and would only prove her parents right. But Max and team must learn how to work together quickly. A routine mission to retrieve a missing ship has suddenly turned dangerous, and now their lives are on the line. Someone is targeting members of Zuma's ghost, a mysterious opponent who will willing to kill to safeguard a secret that could shake society to its core. Okay, all right, so a newbie, a crew that needs to learn to trust and like each other, a harsh science fiction action, and a deep-seated secret that could that is going to change the way every world thinks of itself. So this is classic space opera, at least the trappings of it. We'll see who is the author here. K.B. Wagers is the author of the Indrahan War trilogy, as well as There Before the Chaos, the start of the Farian War trilogy with Orbit books. She's a very practiced science fiction author. You're probably gonna you learn a lot more about her on SFF 180 with Thomas's channel, SFF 180. He probably knows her, for Pete's sake. They hold a bachelor's degree in Russian studies. Is this a collaboration? Oh, no, it's not a collaboration. It's a single person who claims she has a plural pronoun. Okay, all right, that's great. She holds a bachelor's degree in Russian studies and a second degree black belt in Shaolin Kung Fu. Good Lord. A native of Colorado, KB lives at the base of the Rocky Mountains with her partner and a crew of recalcitrant cats. What kind of cats are there, I ask you? In between books, she can be found attempting to learn Spanish, dying in video games, dancing to music, and scribbling new ideas in her bullet journal. Okay. All right, so this comes out in... okay, I have the format and the... but I mentioned a date. Yeah, this is early. This is March 3rd. This is right around the corner. This is intriguing. It's intriguing. I'm going to put it on the other pile, not the immediate pile, but not because of anything in that description. I am a big fan of space opera, and this sounds like classic space opera. I'm going to put it in that pile only because space opera is, by its nature, 60 to 70% derivative. So I am a big fan of space opera, and by that token, I can probably predict a good percentage of what's in this book. Now, that's not bad. I am not one of these originality fetishes that you see on the book world or sometimes in BookTube. I don't care at all if this covers old and familiar ground. I care only about its execution. But I'm going to put it on this other pile because it doesn't create, because it's such a familiar subgenre of science fiction, it doesn't create the kind of lunging or eagerness that could change, but I'm going to leave it there for now. We have to be judicious about this must-read pile. It's going to get too big. Okay. Great. I requested this. This is contemporary fiction. This is let's see here, in June. Okay. This is Joshua Henkin's book, Morningside Heights. Let's see here. He's been recognized as notable books by the New York Times, his previous novels, and the LA Times. World Without You won the Edward Lewis Wallant Award for Jewish American Fiction and was a finalist for the National Jewish Book Award. And in this latest book, this is the story of Prue and Spence, a couple dealing with a life-changing illness that fundamentally changes the meaning of their marriage and love. It's a powerful novel about big issues of life, and Henkin handles it all with his characteristic warmth and compassion for his characters. Richard Russo has contributed this early blurb. The novelist Richard Russo says, "You know a novel is good when the thought of leaving the world it creates and the people who live there fills you with sadness and a profound sense of loss." Joshua Henkin's Morningside Heights is just such a novel. Okay, well, I don't know if I've read this author's previous books. I don't know if I have. They're not ringing a bell. I'll have to check and see. But this sounds fascinating. It doesn't obviously crack the key immediate list. it's in June, for Pete's sake. But that sounds good. Always nice to get some of the made up stories in here, so it's not all nautical histories. Let's see. Oh no. Oh, okay. All right. This is a June book. So I will not be reading it immediately, but I'm very glad to have it. I requested it. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why, because I have to read new releases. I want to read all new releases. I want to know what this season is like in American publishing, but this is going to be tough. This is going to be so tough. This is by Jeffrey Musayev Mason, and it is Lost Companions, Reflections on the Death of Pets. Look at those two. Reflections on the Death of Pets. Oh my. All right. This author is best known for his many successful books on animal emotions, animal rights, and the animal-human bond. His latest book is the culmination of his thinking in this area. Further explores the bonds we forge with animals and the grief that results when the bond is broken by death. We now consider pets family members, and for many, the loss of their animal companions engenders the same levels of grief one would experience for a close human companion. But that now is misleading. Humans have always felt that way. We know this from inscriptions in Egyptian monuments. We know this from inscriptions in ancient Roman tombs. This has been true. That is nothing. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not a modern thing. Pet lovers memorialize their departed friends with tattoos, customized pillows, pendants, paw prints, obituaries, and memorial services. They share their grief on social media, turn to bereavement groups, contact pet loss support hotlines, and visit counselors or therapists specializing in helping the grieving for their animals. But while grieving for a pet can be as intense and lengthy as grieving for a significant person, many of the societal mechanics of community are still absent when a pet dies. People don't get bereavement days off at work and often feel their grief is belittled by others or that they should get over it sooner. Lost Companions puts the grief and mourning in perspective, insists that it's valid and necessary, and shares insights gathered from a lifetime of connecting with animals. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna review it. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a bit and hug my baby just a little bit closer. Although I'm curious to know, all of you out there in the real world, that bit, I mean, I know that it's true in a general sense, that people don't get bereavement days when their pet dies. But tell me about your own workplace. You're friends with your coworkers, I assume, that you're friends with your bosses, or you're a boss who's friendly with your employees. In your own workplace, not the generalized one mentioned in this pub sheet, but in your own actual workplace, if a worker of yours lost a beloved pet, or if you were a worker who lost a beloved pet and went to your boss and told them that, wouldn't you be told take as much time as you want? Is the pitiless state that's described in that pub sheet, is that actually your own experience? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear if that's true. In my own experience, back when I was in the real world, back when I worked in retail, for Pete's sake, not just the real world, but the arse end of real world, during that time I lost pets. I lost dogs. And it was retail, and I never had a manager at any level who didn't instantly say, take as much time as you need. Your job will be here when you get back. We feel terrible for you. I never had a manager of any kind, even the jerks, never thought about saying, so what, it's just a pet. That never even crossed anybody's minds. And I'm wondering if that's your experience as well. But I'm not going to get to this book right now, obviously. So let's move on here. Let's see what this next one is. Can't see, I don't think there are any bosses in this tub. Oh my. Oh, I've heard of this book. Oh, goodness. All right. This has got to be soon. Yeah, this is February 18th. This is right around the corner. Good Lord. Okay. Let's see here. This is by Susan Fowler. This is Whistleblower. My Journey to Silicon Valley and the Fight for Justice at Uber. This book has been getting some buzz. In 2017, 25-year-old Susan Fowler published a blog post detailing the sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation she experienced as an entry-level engineer at Uber. When the post went viral, not only was the company forced to clean house, including ousting CEO Travis Kalanick, but Fowler's brave testimony helped to spark a revolution that spread throughout Silicon Valley to Hollywood and beyond. She was named Person of the Year by Time and the Financial Times, and appeared on Fortune's 40 Under 40 list, Vanity Fair's New Establishment list, and the Bloomberg 50 and more. So you've probably heard about her, even if you haven't heard about this book. Fowler knew the consequences women tended to face for speaking truth to power, but she'd spent a lifetime struggling against adversity, refusing to accept the status quo, and striving to do the right thing. Now, in her inspiring memoir, she is sharing her whole story for the first time on a 3-year anniversary of the blog post that catapulted her into the spotlight. Wow. Okay. All right, so this is the pub date on this is February 18th, which is tomorrow. And so technically, this should probably be on my immediate list because it's right around the corner. All right. Okay, we're going to put that on the list. The immediate list now has 5 books on it. It can't possibly have that. So we're going to have to winnow the immediate list. But let's continue on and just maybe hope that we don't get any more candidates for that list. It really can't take any more. Let's see. What is all this? You aren't asking me to pay for this book, are you? With cash money? What is this little love note you're leaving me? Oh, gross. It is an invoice. It's an invoice. Please. Who buys books? So let's see. Let's see what we have here. Oh, great. Okay, this is more of the made-up stories. This is more contemporary fiction. I requested this as well because I don't want to put blinkers on. You know, I want to be up on what the kids are reading on all the rest of BookTube, where the only thing that people read is the contemporary fiction. This is by Jill McCorkle. A lot of you will know that name, and this is Hieroglyphics. This is her new novel, Hieroglyphics. Let's see here. Lil and Frank, who each lost a parent when still a child, wed young and have aged along with their enduring marriage. Moving home to North Carolina after years in Boston. What kind of a decision is that, I ask you? The retired couple faces a return to before. Lil begins sifting through letters and diaries to edit her history before passing it on to her children. Frank becomes obsessed with his childhood house, now occupied by a young single mother. At the heart of the matter is that each still yearns to understand more about the parents they lost too young. As McCorkle investigates how memory and truth are often cobbled out of bits and pieces left behind, receipts, letters, graffiti, words spoken, especially those last ones, and left to interpretation, she contemplates all that we can never know about the people in our lives. Okay. All right. So this comes out in June. that sounds fascinating, but it's not in the running. It's not in the running. So let's blast right on here. Cool. Is this another invoice? I think this is another invoice. Yes, it is. Ooh. Why am I getting? Oh, these are just. It's just pro forma. You can't get this out of the mail room without an invoice being attached to it. So what? Oh no! All right, no, it's a second copy of Hieroglyphics. All right, so it's a second copy of that. We don't need to spend much time on that. It has a huge amount of extra material that we don't need. All right, so that still doesn't once or twice doesn't matter. It's still not going on the immediate list. So let's see what this next one is. All right, okay. This is great. This I requested this because the original copy that we saw on this channel has gone missing. and you might think, if you were being slightly ungenerous, you might think with all the books I get here, surely lots of books go missing, but they actually don't. One of the only things in all of Hyde Cottage that is fairly well organized is my new book collection, and it's specifically for that reason. It's specifically because I don't want things going missing. I know I'm putting people to some bother to send these to me, and I ought to be responsible enough to have them where I want them. But this one did go missing, and the publisher was nice enough to send along another copy, and that's good because this is right around the corner. I've already read this though, so it doesn't count for the immediate list. Yeah, this is February 18th. This is tomorrow, and we've seen it already. This is Scott Oden's book, Twilight of the Gods. Let's see here. It is the year of our Lord 1218, and in the land of the Raven Geats, the old ways reach deep. And while the Geats, I don't think I'm saying that correctly, pay a tax to the king in the name of the White Christ, their hearts and souls belong to the gods of Asgard, and no man can serve two masters. Pledging to burn this Norse heresy from the land, famed crusader Conrad the White leads a host against the Raven Geats, using torch and sword to bring forth the light of the new religion. But the land of the Raven Geats has an ancestral protector, Grimnir, the last in a long line of monsters left to plague Midgard, and he will stand between the Raven Geats and their destruction. This is supernatural Viking fiction, and I loved it. Just loved it. Thought it was fantastic. So this comes out on the 18th, and it kind of means a third pile, because this is, I don't want to put it in a pile of stuff that I haven't got to yet, but it okay, well anyway, Twilight of the Gods is going to be in your bookstores tomorrow and is well worth your time. well worth your time. If you like, for instance, if you like Some of you may know the Viking novels of Giles Christian. They're fantastic. If you haven't read a Viking novel of Giles Christian, you really should. But if you like something like that, you're going to love this book. So what have we got here? Yet another invoice. I'm making a pile of them here. Now, unless we're dealing with some sort of genderqueer change of a story, this title can only refer to one person. This is by Finola Austin, and it's called Bronte's Mistress. That has got to be Branwell Bronte, right? Unless it's the father. But no, the father. No, it's got to be Branwell. Let's see here. This comes out in August, so what a huge relief. I don't have to think about this. It's a triumph of historical fiction with a refreshingly feminist bent. Meticulously researched and captivatingly told, it will delight readers of transporting historical novels with complex female heroines like Jo Baker's Longbourn, which is fantastic. This novel, all right, well, but what is the book? In these engrossing pages, it's a debut. Debut novelist Finola Austin draws on her expertise in Victorian literature to reimagine a scandalous event that has divided Bronte enthusiasts for generations. The affair between young Branwell Bronte and his married employer, Lydia Robinson. With rich historical detail and incredible insight into gender and class dynamics of the time, this stunning novelization offers a riveting, persuasive, profoundly humanizing portrait of the woman accused of bringing ruin to one of literature's most famous families. Some speculate that Lydia is the inspiration behind the character of Mrs. Robinson in The Graduate. In 1857, novelist Elizabeth Gaskell wrote the definitive biography of her friend Charlotte Bronte. In it, she revealed the affair between Lydia Robinson and Branwell Bronte, destroying Lydia Robinson's reputation. By portraying her as a wicked married woman who lured Charlotte's brother into a sinful relationship, thus catalyzing not just his untimely death, but the downfall of the entire Bronte family. Oh, man, I wish this were a closer update. That is fascinating. I know quite a bit about Branwell Bronte. There's a scandal involved with the Robinson family, but I am one of the admittedly minority who thinks that it's not Mrs. Robinson that the scandal is the problem. But one way or another, so there you go. You saw earlier this year we had Miss Austen, a historical novel that's coming out, I think, also in the summer about Jane Austen's sister. And there have been a couple of others, the other Bennet sister, and now we have a novel about Branwell Bronte. So, pretty good year for reading historical fiction about some of your favorite writers. That's a lot of fun. So let's see what this next one is. I'm getting all of these invoices. Good Lord. The Bean and I aren't made of money. Let's see here. Oh, great. Okay, this is from Tor. This is upcoming fantasy, right? Yeah, this is February 4th. Oh my, this is February 4th. So I really should read this right away. Oh no, the pile's already so big. All right, well, we'll finish it. We've got a few to go, and then we'll decide on the pile. So this one will be longer than the first two. This is by Kate Glass, and this is A Conjuring of Assassins. A lovely cover there. Best-selling and award-winning author Carol Berg, writing as Kate Glass, pens a second installment in the Chimera series. Romy and the crew are back in this fast-paced sequel, and this time they have been tasked with saving the kingdom. Oh no, so do I need to read An Illusion of Thieves? An Illusion of Thieves was the first one. I don't think I have it. Romy and her three partners in crime, a swordmaster, a silversmith, and her thieving brother, have embraced their roles as the Shadow Lord's agents, using their forbidden magic to accomplish tasks his other spies cannot. Now the Shadow Lord needs them to infiltrate the home of the Messadiaran ambassador and prevent him from obtaining information that would lead to all-out war with Cantagna's most dangerous enemy. To succeed, they will have to resurrect long-buried secrets, partner with old enemies, and once again rely on the very magics that could get them sentenced to death. Sounds like this is going to progress fairly directly from the first book, which I do not remember, so I may not have read it. Okay, well, I can ask for the early one and maybe review this late. So that's not going to go on the immediate list, even though it's already out, because I don't want to launch into it if it needs me to read the earlier book. Right, so let's see, we've got two more to go here. and then we'll be done. So let's see here. Okay, this next one is coming out in June, so it is not going to make the immediate list. It is travel writing, and it's travel writing about a great destination, a place that travel writers have been writing great stuff about for a long time. This is by Daniel Riley, and it is Barcelona Days. In 2017, Daniel Riley's transportive debut novel Fly Me was met with waves of critical acclaim. And his new... Oh, this is not travel writing. This is another novel. This is a new novel. At its core, Barcelona Days is about the hidden corners of human nature. As a couple at a critical juncture in their relationship take a hard look at who they truly are as individuals and what they desire most. Whitney and Will have been a couple since they graduated from college. They make the familiar leap from college sweethearts to two people just beginning their lives together in New York City. They're engaged and know and love each other deeply. It's surprising to Will when Whitney starts to get restless and seems non-committal about their wedding. Whitney proposes that for just 1 month, each of them get a hall pass, the ability to sleep with 3 new partners. They'll meet in Barcelona at the end of that month and share the details with each other before moving into the next phase of their relationship. That's kind of neat. In a surprising turn, the plan seems to work, and the couple is stronger for it. That is, until an ash cloud from an Icelandic volcano settles over Europe and all flights are grounded indefinitely. Over the next few days, Will and Whitney drink, dance, and meet new friends. They tempt each other and tear each other down, and by the time the cloud finally lifts, it's no longer clear what their future holds. Huh. That sounds really good. Okay, well, great. All right, so it's not travel writing. It's a novel, and it's a novel that comes out in June. So it intrigues me, but it doesn't make our list. It doesn't make our all-important list. And that leaves just one book. And then we will whittle the list. So this will be a 30-minute video. Let's see what this next one is. This has yet another invoice. I have to see what this is about. See what the reason for this is. It's probably just... I mean, you could probably tell me. It's probably just a mailroom type thing, right? That you've got a mailroom, so you have to put paperwork in everything you send out. It's probably nothing to worry about. So what have we got here? Oh, all right. This is a June book. It's immensely tempting, but it's a June book, so I don't need to. Oh man, I want to get to this right away. All right, you history fans out there, you should perk up your ears. You're going to want this book. This is by Thomas Penn, and this is the U.S. edition of The Brothers York, an immense thing that's coming out in June. Let's see here. In 15th century England, 2 royal families, the houses of York and the House of Lancaster, fought a bitter, decades-long civil war for the English throne. As their symbols were a red rose for Lancaster and a white rose for York, the conflict became known as the Wars of the Roses. During this time, the House of York came to dominate England. At its heart were 3 charismatic brothers, King Edward IV and his 2 younger siblings, George and Richard, who became the figureheads of a spectacular ruling dynasty. Together, they looked invincible. But with Edward's ascendancy, the brothers began to turn on one another, unleashing a catastrophic chain of rebellion, vendetta, fratricide, usurpation, and regicide. The brutal end came at Bosworth Field in 1485, with the death of the youngest, then Richard III, at the hands of a new usurper, Henry Tudor, later Henry VII, progenitor of the Tudor line of monarchs. Fascinating, dramatic, and filled with historic detail, Brothers York is a brilliant account of the conflict that fractured England for a generation. Riven by internal rivalries, jealousy, and infighting, the 3 York brothers failed to sustain their power and instead self-destructed. It is a rich and bloody tale as gripping as any historical fiction, and it is clearly designed to look like historical fiction. It's designed to look like something you might find from Sharon K. Penman. Only it is not. It is history, and it comes out in mid-June, and I am all here for it. Absolutely. But I mean, that obviously this is the closest thing to a Steve book that we got. In these 3 mail hauls, there were 3 Steve books. There was, and they called it Camelot, a novel about Jackie O. There was Lost Companions, a nonfiction book coming out about the death of pets and what it means and how you live through it and what society thinks of it. And then this, The Brothers York, an enormous history of Edward IV and the brother who killed him. And the 3rd brother that nobody knows anything about. I'm wondering if he's going to be a major figure in this book. But There were 3 Steve books, but none of the Steve books are in this pile of books that I'm going to read today. I'm also assembling a TBR, and none of those are qualify in one way or another. So we have 5 books on this pile. And I'm going to have to whittle that to 3, I think. So the first one is Whistleblower, and this has already come out, or it comes out tomorrow, and it's a controversial thing, and a high-profile thing. So that's the first one. Then the second one is A Murderous Relation, which is a frothy historical murder mystery about Jack the Ripper and Prince Albert Victor. Then the third one is Voyage of Mercy, about the Irish potato famine and America's attempts to alleviate the suffering. Then Thin Places by Jordan Kistner, a collection of her essays from an incredibly lauded author. And then the last one is The Rule of Five, history of one Supreme Court case about the environment. Okay, so here's how I'm going to break this down. I am going to put this away. So that is not going to be on the pile. So the pile is now down to 4, and I actually think I can do this. I think I can do these 4 this afternoon and tonight. I think I can. Because Thin Places is a thin book, and it's episodic. It's a collection of essays. And then Voyage of Mercy will probably take the longest because it will slow me down the most. I will be interrogating it and checking its sources and investigating its bibliography. That'll probably take me the longest. Now that I think about it, though, Thin Places won't, and also A Murderous Relation won't. I am on a huge murder mystery kick. I will fly through this. I know every bit of the exposition dumps that are going to be in here. I know everything there is to know about Prince Albert Victor, and pretty much everything you'd want, and that anybody would want to know about Jack the Ripper. So I don't think this will take that long. I don't think this or Thin Places will take that long, and no offense intended at all to the author, but I don't think this will take me long either. I think this will probably be written in a very light, breathless, new nonfiction way, the way tell-alls and memoirs tend to be in 2020. So I am actually not going to thin this list any lower than 4. I'm not going to break it down to 3. I'm going to do these. These will be the next books that I read. So there you go. There's no way on earth I can do a Steve pyramid of all these books, but that was it. That was 3 videos of mail hauls to get us to where we belong. So now we are done. The irony here is that there's more mail to come today. It could be another whole mailing tub full of books. I really hope not. But I'm going to wrap this up for now. So it's 3 videos of mail for you to watch, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.